Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in a long time, the 504 core trio is back. Corey Rholdon, Michael Foret, Zack, Nagy, and Zack. As we're getting the coffee ready this morning, the New Orleans Pelicans still over 10 games over 500. Last night lost the back-to-back. I got a couple of questions with the Pels. The first one, why are back-to-backs existing in NBA? The Pelicans didn't get to Indianapolis on Wednesday until 6:30 in the morning. How are you expecting to play a basketball game when you get in Indianapolis at 6:30 in the morning?
I feel like this is like a topic that's been brought up like so many different times. Like, do you just extend the season, just like make it like drag it out an extra month so that you like avoid all back to backs? I feel like that's like just a simple answer here, because it hurts the product. We always see people like we'll use Zion for example here since we're talking about the Pels. Like he rarely plays back to back games, and I feel like it hurts the product of the NBA. It hurts the fan base. Like obviously people want to go and watch him play when you want to watch the Pelicans. So yeah, I mean, I feel like you just got to extend the season a little bit and avoid back-to-backs at all costs because all it does is hurt the product of the NBA.
Mike?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I always said, there's nothing going on this summer besides college baseball or just baseball in general. So I never understood why they just haven't extended it. They'd probably even get viewership up as well. So, yeah, extend it 2 to 4 weeks, eliminate back-to-backs. But did you guys watch the Pelicans broadcast at all? Do they mention them getting in late the entire time? They were babying these guys like left and right. It's just like I was getting so like, okay, they mentioned it once, okay, they mentioned it twice. They might have mentioned it 15 times. I was just like, dude, this is the most ridiculous thing. Or like these are world-class athletes. Like, I'm sorry, but like grow the fuck up. Like it's kind of ridiculous how they treat these guys sometimes. And then, Zion shoots a three and they're like, Antonio Daniels like, oh wow, Zion's been working on that shot. I'm like, Mike, thank God he has. He's making $200 million. So I mean, they baby these guys a good bit. But yeah, no, there really is no reason to have back-to-backs in the NBA anymore. What are your thoughts, Corey?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of y'all. I think back-to-backs are stupid. I think it eliminates practicing as well. It eliminates efficient games. It causes more injuries. You want your players healthy on the floor. Eliminate back-to-backs. Eliminate the stress on their bodies. Eliminate all these late nights with no sleep. I think back-to-backs are really bad for the game. All right. So talking about the Pels, 10 games over 500, currently the 6th seed. All right, so this is how I'll look at the Pelicans this year. And this is why I haven't been going on rants, because the Pelicans are doing exactly what I wanted them to do. They're staying healthy. They're in the mix in the West. I hate to break it to everybody. They're not winning a championship. I actually agree with the Phil Jackson rule. You have to win 40 games before 20 losses. I'm fine with that with the Pelicans because this is who they are. In the NBA, unless you're a super team, you have to learn. It takes years to learn how to win. You go back, right, and you see Shaq and Kobe, or Michael Jordan. It took them 6 years with that team to learn how to win. Shaq and Kobe lost their first 3 playoff series pretty early, right? That Jokic with the Nuggets. It took like 5 or 6 years. People wanted to blow that sucker up and they were impatient. It took years of losing in the first round, losing in the second round, losing in the Western Conference Finals. It took years for the Denver Nuggets. So the Pelicans this year, my only goal for the New Orleans Pelicans is to avoid the play-in game and to win one series.
I said the exact same thing.
What?
I said the exact same thing. I feel like if you've one goal for the season, it's not to win it's not to win a title. Like I know that's everybody's ultimate goal, but I feel like you like jump small hurdles at a time, and I feel like that one hurdle here is to avoid the play-in game, get the 6th seed, and try to win at least one playoff round. I feel like people just need to like kind of come back down to earth with this team. At the end of the day, they haven't proven anything. They haven't won anything. They haven't done anything. Obviously, it's one of the best starts in like ever for the franchise, but at the end of the day, like that's just a stepping stone to get where you want to be. And I feel like as long as you can come down, avoid the play-in at all costs, win the first round, and just continue to take baby steps, that'll lead you to get to a title in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years if you can keep this core intact.
And you're right, Zach, because it's steps. It's steps. And You can't go from bouncing out the not playing to contender.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like I feel like just people need to have different expectations when it comes to this team. Like Zion's still young, Bi still. I almost said proving that he's a superstar, but I'm not even gonna make that comment. Like I feel like you just have players that are kind of trying to just fit their role. And
Yeah, you
continue to
figure
use
out
it
your
up.
roster during this point. You figure out during the
Yeah.
playoffs, right? Like this year, Herb Jones being incredible, right? Herb Jones been the most consistent player, Mike said earlier, and I kind of agree with him.
I agree with that too.
And then, like in the playoffs, you sit there and you're like, who fits more if we have to move off of Brandon Ingram or Zion? Well, I'm all Zion because the Pelicans play 1,000 times better when Zion has the ball and when Zion
Facts.
doing everything. Brandon Ingram's kind of a ball stopper a lot of times, and Bi makes some dumbass decisions. But
yeah,
Bi also can go for 40, and my man can cook. So, but that's my thing with the Pelicans right now. All right, Michael, go ahead.
All right. So before the season, what was the narrative? It was always, can Zion stay healthy, right? He's healthy. The other narrative was, look at this team. Look what they're doing without their main player and the play-in and the playoffs. Like, look what they're doing. Like, if you insert Zion into this team, a healthy Zion, they stay healthy, they're contenders. Like, no doubt about it. That's what Stephen A. Smith said. That's what every single person said. That's what a lot of Pelicans fans were hoping for. I think as the season's gone on, there's a lot of highs, a lot of lows. I think lately there's been more lows, but anyway, so that I think the narrative of contenders is slowly starting to fade away, just because you can kind of see just how the team has just progressed. But yeah, you it's hard to throw someone like Zion. I mean, Zion is obviously a great player, but you're throwing Zion into this team that has played together. I mean, pretty much for the past 2 years without him. So you throw him in there, people say they're contenders. Now it's slowly starting to dwindle. But I agree with y'all. Like if they get bounced, if they get the second or third round, like I think that's a massive step. Like at this point, you want to take it step by step. Yeah, I don't think they're contenders at the moment. I think the only way for this team to be truly contenders is if Trey Murphy plays to the ability he can actually play to. Like you see what this team is when he's hitting threes and putting 20 plus points on the board. So that's just an extra guy that they can rely on. But yeah, it's just this team is just like, they have a lot of talent, but I just think they're weirdly constructed. Like I don't think a lot of the guys really complement each other all that well. I mean, I could be wrong, but just I don't know. The Ingram Bi fit I always thought was a little weird. Not always thought, but the past year I've been starting to think so. This team, like I said, they have a ton of talent, but they're just really constructed weird, and they're just really really immature. The way they turn the ball over at times, the way
that's why they need to play postseason basketball.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
it's just like they need the experience, but they're just so, the way they play is just I don't know. It's really weird. The way that really immature team. So
yeah,
it's just they're a frustrating team, but yeah, they need experience. They need more consistency. Like it's just weird. Like some nights Bi goes off and then Zion doesn't do anything. Zion goes off, Bi doesn't do anything. CJ will go off and then Bi will have an okay game and Zion doesn't do anything. It's like their trio just hasn't played enough games either. So yeah, we really need Dyson Daniels back too. You can feel it with this team missing something on defense at times. So I don't know. They're just like a really, really weird team. And if you honestly listen to any of the media talk about it, like national media, like they're all over the place as well. They're always like, the Pelicans are sleepers, and then the next person will have a completely different opinion. So it's just, I don't know. I think it's a big year. I think the playoffs will say a lot for the future of this team. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it'll say a lot, and then also just avoid the play-in. And if you lose the first round to the fucking Clippers or the Suns, okay, make it 6 or 7 games. Learn how to win in the playoffs. Have those moments for Zion, because Zion's never played in the playoffs before, play-in, whatever, never played in there. And then David Griffin is a reasonable human being. He knows the steps that you need to take because, like I said, dude, the Denver Nuggets are the perfect example here. The Nuggets bounced out in 18, bounced out in 19, Western Conference Finals in 20, 21, first round, 22, first round. They wanted to blow everything up because that's when Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. were hurt both of those seasons. Hey, blow it up. It's done. Next year, I want NBA Finals. Patience, trust your core, continue to build chemistry. You'll be fine.
Who is your core on the Pelicans?
You have a lot of core. I think it's Zion. I think it's Trey Murphy. I think it's Brandon Ingram. I think it's Herb Jones.
So McCollum is expendable at some point in a year or so.
Yeah, he's getting older.
Agreed.
Dyson.
Can Zion and BI coexist?
Huh?
I don't know.
I dude, like I told you, with Zion healthy this year, the plus minus ratings with Zion on compared to with Brandon Ingram on, tie. It's a big difference.
I just like going back to kind of like what Mike said. Like I know the national media take it with a grain of salt, but like they always talk about how you have to move on with one of those players. Like they can't coexist, and they won't win deep in the playoffs with both those guys on the same floor. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that take like at all. Because going back to what you were saying, Corey, like I do agree with like I mean, there's nothing to agree with. Like the numbers are the numbers, but I don't know. I don't know if they can coexist like long term. See if they can win a title together. I don't know. I feel like it's such a nice like hot topic, but to what you were saying, like I don't see CJ obviously being around for much longer. He is getting old, and you're gonna have to move on from that contract. But my main like topic of conversation is like, can Zion and BI do this thing together? So I'm really intrigued to see what they do this offseason, or even like looking to the next offseason in 2025.
Well, Zion and Ingram's it's like, do you think they complement each other? It's like
that's the thing.
But here's
I
the
don't
thing.
think so.
I think Zion, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones complements each other. Playmaking.
So you're saying Ingram is expendable then? Like you have to build your team because you only get 2 max slots per team.
Yes.
Like that's how the NBA is structured now. So like whenever you commit a max contract to that guy, you're saying this is literally the second best player on a potential championship team. So like is Ingram that guy? Is Zion that guy? Like are they 1 and 2?
I think Zion.
I don't know.
I don't think Ingram is.
I think it's pretty clear that both of them obviously are those max slot players. Like those are obviously your 1 and 2. It's just a matter of can they do it together. Like it's clear that those are 2 franchise players and like championship winning caliber players. It's just a matter of doing it together. Like obviously, like you were saying, Mike, it's pretty clear that you have the way that the NBA salary cap is set that you have 2 guys who can get max deals. But like I said for the millionth time, it's just a matter if they can get it done together.
Let me break it down. Okay, do either guy play defense? Does either guy play defense?
No.
Can either guy shoot threes that well? I mean, Ingram shoots it okay, but no.
He doesn't shoot it a lot.
I mean, they both create okay, but I don't know. It's just weird. Like Ingram's all mid range, and then he'll drive occasionally, and then Zion just goes to the basket. So
yeah, but Mike, Zion is one of the most efficient offenses in the NBA.
Have you watched it lately?
It still is. The gravity to it's also Willie Green needs to put Trey Murphy and Hawkins in with Zion in that second unit. But it's one of the most efficient offenses in the NBA because it's either you doubling on Zion stopping ball or he goes 1-on-1 and he's scoring. They don't call fouls for him either. That Bulls game, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about that Bulls game.
I'm talking about when Zion drives to the hoop, he makes a basket, and then next thing at the 5 up the court because Zion's 15, 20 feet behind the play, and then you're just lacklusting on defense. So, I mean, your trio of McCollum, Zion, and Ingram, none of those guys play defense. Valanciunas, like, seems like he's barely been playing these days, but like he doesn't play the best defense. So you're really relying on Herb Jones to be consistent on defense. I know they have the 6th best defense in the NBA right now, but like the eye test sometimes it's really concerning. I mean, they couldn't get a stop to save their life last night against the Pacers. So I think the blue book on the Pelicans is a little bit out on how to play them because when you watch the Bulls and then every single team after that, Zion's been like hampered a little bit on offense. But yeah, they just build a wall, and you got these guys hits a three, and like you said, they have Murphy and Hawkins, and you give yourself a chance. But a lot of times he doesn't even play those guys together, which is frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, thank God. I mean, imagine if Herb Jones wasn't hitting 40-something% from three this year.
Incredible.
I mean, imagine if that guy wasn't shooting 40-something%. We'd probably have 3 or 4 more losses, and we'd probably be in like the, I don't know, 8th seed, 9th seed. So, yeah, it's just a weird fit in my opinion from just the eye test. But we'll see. We'll see. Come the playoffs are a different basketball, so we'll see when it comes time.
All right, so now it's time to talk about LSU Tigers. What do y'all? Number 2 in gym, top 15 in women's basketball, number 3 in softball, number 3 in baseball. Just carry it away, man.
It's ridiculous. I mean, every single thing in the national polls, like LSU's cooking in every single category. Kind of just sticking on baseball to start off. Obviously, Jay Johnson and the Tigers are kind of kicking ass to start things off. I mean, they're 7-8-1. They just got a really big win in Houston last night over Rice. And Jay Johnson's been tinkering that lineup night in and night out. You haven't seen a consistent lineup to this point, and he's just trying to find that sweet spot, and it's been really impressive. When it comes to the pitching rotation, a lot of people are quote unquote concerned about, those go-to guys, but the depth of the pitching core is what really stands out to me. You have a UCLA transfer in Gage Jump who looked really, really talented when he got his first start in his debut. And then you also have guys like Luke Holman, who was Alabama's ace last year, who came in as your Saturday night starter the last 2 weeks and cooked. I mean, he's pitched 18 innings. He's given up no runs, like 3 hits. He's been playing some really, really good ball. So really what it comes down to is finding your Friday night starter. And do you kind of put Thatcher Hurd on Saturdays and put Luke Holman on Fridays and then try to find your Sunday starter? So like I was saying before, it's kind of like a matter of just finding that go-to lineup for him. And obviously you trust Jay Johnson. He's the best in the business. So finding your weekend starters and working on that rotation 1 through 9 is going to be key here. But look, baseball is really, really going to be special this year. And I think it's been pretty clear over the first couple of games. And this weekend in Houston, they got some big-time matchups against Texas. They'll play ULL, whatever you want to call it, Corey. But they got some big matchups coming up, and I'm excited to see how things go when you look at mid-March. And you have SEC play rolling around with Mississippi State, Florida. But yeah, man, Jay Johnson's got that program rolling and really clicking on all cylinders. So I'm excited for the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, every sports. Women's basketball, real quick. Haley Van Lith. Well, 2 things. All right, let's actually talk about Caitlin Clark real quick for women's basketball. Bouncing around. She's going to pass Pistol Pete's record Saturday. People complaining about that. I see both sides. Pistol did play 3 years. He didn't have a 3-point line. But Caitlin, in my opinion, is the greatest women's basketball player I've ever seen. She does everything. And this is going to make LSU fans mad. She's the reason why 10 million people watched that game last year.
I think it's a combo. Like obviously, like Angel Reese might not be like
look at the ratings between LSU, Virginia Tech, and Iowa, South Carolina. All eyes were on Caitlin Clark. Dude, Caitlin Clark could go to the WNBA, and her first game in the WNBA is going to be the highest viewed WNBA game ever.
Dude, when I watched her in the Final Four, like she's the greatest women's basketball player I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes. Obviously, it's a small sample size. Like I'm not the oldest guy in the bunch. Like I haven't watched that much women's basketball in my day. But at the same time, like given the sample size that I've been given, Caitlin Clark is the best women's basketball player I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes. And I know people will come and talk about like Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, Brianna Stewart, like all these players and stuff. But
she doesn't have the gravity. They're not.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you look at Steph Curry. Like I know, like everybody wants to say like the Steph Curry of women's basketball, but like Steph Curry changed the game for the men's side, and I think Caitlin Clark's just going to change the game for the women's side. Like it's so crystal clear. It's unbelievable. But Corey, like kind of what you were talking about, like the whole Pistol Pete thing. It's like people are going to like talk about this for the next couple of days because she's obviously going to break the record. Like it's just a fact. Like it's numbers here. Nobody's sitting here and saying like Caitlin Clark is better than Pistol Pete. Like nobody's saying this or that. I know some people in the media will say that just to like stir controversy, but in my opinion, it's just numbers. Like it's just a matter of fact. Like right now, there's a 3-point line. There wasn't one then. Like it is what it is. She's gonna break the record. It is what it is. So I'm not sitting here saying Caitlin Clark's better than this or that. But at the end of the day, like, numbers are numbers, and she's going to be passing up his numbers. It is what it is, and she's fantastic.
And I'd rather her break it than the dude from Detroit, Mercer,
Yeah.
who played 8 years and needed like the CIT to try to break it.
They were literally going to give that Detroit team, they were going to qualify them for a postseason tournament for no damn reason, just so that he could break the record. So, like, yeah, like, I'd love to see Caitlin Clark break that record. Like, she's a generational player. She's a once-in-a-lifetime player, and she's changing the game. So, yeah, what you're saying is complete facts.
And dude, what did she have? 33 points and a triple-double? Because she's not just a shooter. She's an incredible passer.
She's a facilitator. She's just a gamer, dude. Like, she's just a freaking gamer. Everything she does is ridiculous. Like, seeing her with your own 2 eyes, like, during the Final Four was one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life. Running around the floor, having Flau'jae Johnson, having double teamed, like, it doesn't matter. She can shoot on the run. She can shoot on the move. She can catch and shoot. She can create for herself. She can create for others. Like, and I'm not just sitting here like glazing Caitlin Clark by any means. Like she's a fantastic player.
The dog.
It's hard not to sit here and like just talk so highly of her because she's unbelievable at what she does.
No, she is. And dude, I watched her freshman year at Iowa. I covered her, but I'll tell you
that's right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that,
dude. The rest of that roster, there ain't nobody touching
Buns.
Nobody.
Like, yeah, it's unbelievable.
She's literally leading bums to the national championship. I don't think people realize that. All right, going back to LSU, Hailey Van Lith, best game of the season. You think so?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, not for me to sit here and like provide another monologue, but look, Hailey Van Lith's adjusting to a new position. She's played off ball her entire career. She's sitting here working as a point guard in Kim Mulkey's system, and she came to Baton Rouge to learn the point guard position under Kim Mulkey. Like, that was the game plan from day one, and it just didn't pan out the way that they thought it would through the first half of the season. So now you kind of have her moving a little bit off ball. You have her doing what she did at Louisville, and she pieced together her best game of the season, 26, 28 points against Tennessee. And I mean, dude, she was dialed in from the jump. She looks fantastic, and now you're kind of starting to see this LSU team hit their stride when you want them to, just like they did last year. So yeah, Hailey Van Lith played her best game of the season, and now LSU's a top 10 team in the country.
One more question before I get Mike back in this. Do you feel like they can make a run in March? Do you feel like they're getting more confident?
It's tough because last year, like, if you'd have asked me this question, I would have said absolutely not, because nobody thought that team was going to win a title last year. Like, I don't think anybody in the media would have looked at that program and said, like, this is a title contending team. And they just got hot when they needed to get hot. But fast forward to this year, I mean, dude, you can't look at this roster and say that this isn't a national title team. You have 2, like, damn near first, second team All-Americans in Anissa Morrow and Angel Reese. You have Hailey Van Lith, who was an All-America honorable mention last year. Like, you have a Fab Five consisting of those 3 players, Flau'jae Johnson and Michaela Williams, who, in my opinion, is the second best freshman in America behind Juju Watkins. Pretty sure Corey would agree with that, too, because he got to see Juju play. It's pretty clear cut that she's number 1 or number 2 in the country, probably behind Caitlin Clark as one of the best players in America, and she's a true freshman. So you have a Fab Five that's fantastic. It's just a matter of finding that 6, 7, and 8-man rotation, and you're hurt. If you had Samaya Smith, I wouldn't have even gone on this monologue, and I just would have said, yes, that's a title contending team.
Yeah.
Now you have to find that 7 to 8-man rotation and see what you can do with the bench. But in short, man, yeah, I think this is a Elite 8, Final Four team. And if they can hit their groove when they need to, a national title contending team, no doubt about it.
All right, Mike, switching over to the men's side, have you been watching this run LSU basketball? Men's basketball has been on with was the last like 4 or 5 games. I mean,
I haven't watched enough of it. No, I've been more on the LSU baseball side of things, but you know, I know Zack has, so I'll let Zack touch on that.
Yeah, so I mean, dude, South Carolina was at 16 points on the road, number 11 team in the country, beat them. Kentucky, Kentucky, I think can make a run in March. Very high on Reed, and then
Dillingham too.
Georgia as well. I mean, LSU basketball, I mean, it's kind of like took time after having no scholarship players, but they're starting to see some life there in Baton Rouge with Matt McMahon, right?
Yeah, I mean, Matt McMahon inherited a program with nothing, 0 scholarship players. The fact that he got 1 or 2 players to even come back then was surprising as hell. But look, he's steering the ship in the right direction, and they obviously got back-to-back top 20, top 25 wins over South Carolina, and then fast forward to Kentucky. And that Kentucky win, in my opinion, is one of the biggest victories in in the last 4 or 5 years for this program. And I think that's going to be the one that really gets people's attention, which it did. And I think it's going to be the one that lets this program hit their stride. You have 2 top 60 prospects committed in the 2024 class already. So I feel like you're going to see McMahon start to really get a hold of this program. And looking at this year, I mean, yeah, South Carolina, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Georgia, like they've got some pretty big wins, or I guess they lost Mississippi State, but they've got some pretty big wins under their belt over the last 3 or 4 games. So yeah, and they're doing it without Jalen Cook. Like they're doing it without their best player who's been hurt, who's not going to come back for another game or 2. So he's really winning games. He's winning varsity games with the JV roster is the best way that I could put it. Jordan Wright's a fantastic player. Will Baker's playing some good ball too. But, I mean, you're winning varsity games with the JV roster, and it goes to the coaching that McMahon's really been putting together. So, yeah, that Kentucky win, Corey, was absolutely unbelievable. I'm so high on Reed Sheppard. That dude is so fundamentally sound. His shooting stroke is unbelievable. He's a lotto pick. And it's crazy because he's baby-faced. He's like a baby-faced assassin. Like, he looks 12.
Dude, another white guy what's the guy from Tennessee? He was cooking last night.
Dalton Connect or whatever his name is?
Yes.
Dude, he had 40 last night.
Dude.
Like, this dude's a freak. Like, that dude's a freak.
3 levels. It was a 3-level scorer. Like, legit. Like, ball handling, bringing up, step up.
The thing that separates Reed and Dalton is really just that, you know, Reed can get into the paint, and he's a really, really good finisher. He's a 3-level scorer, like you said, but he's also good on defense. Like, he can get in the passing lanes and play that very, very well. So I'm really high on Reed Sheppard, and kind of getting the opportunity to watch him and Rob Dillingham, like Mike had said a minute ago, was fantastic. I mean, Dillingham took over the final 10 minutes of the game. He had like 20 points in the final 10 minutes of the game against LSU, and LSU still found a way to pump the brakes and get the win. Like, that shot that Dillingham hit in the corner, moving to give them the lead with under 10 seconds left, was insane. And for McMahon to not call a timeout and trust Jordan Wright and really just win the game on a fluke play with Tyrell Ward, like, it just shows the trust that McMahon has in his players. And I really think, look, like, you're not playing for the NCAA tournament right now. You're playing for just postseason ball in the NIT. And I think at this point, the wins that you have, the quad 1 wins that you have, is going to give you the ability to play some postseason ball, which is something that McMahon was looking forward to this season. So, yeah, men's basketball is hitting their stride. Women's basketball is hitting their stride. And baseball is just starting. But the fact of the matter is that's a national title contending team as well. So you got those 3 programs in gymnastics and softball. Things are cooking in Baton Rouge.
My favorite month. Well, one of my favorite months. Coming up tomorrow. Happy Leap Day, dude. Dude, I mean, college basketball. Colorado State lost in the half quarter.
I saw that, dude.
Dude, after Isaiah Stevens hit an incredible shot to tie the game. I love March, man. March is going to be hectic for us because we got like 80 teams to cover. But, yeah, man, dude, March is coming up. And you know who could be in March is a guy who used to coach LSU.
Well,
dude.
26-3.
What the hell is going on in Lake Charles, bro? He is cooking.
3 losses, dude. Dude, they're a 12 seed as a Southland Conference team. That's a 16 seed. That's 16 seed every year. Automatically guaranteed. Southland Conference, 16 seed.
They got some big wins. Who they beat? Michigan and who else?
They beat Michigan. Really they beat VCU. They beat ULL. They beat somebody else.
There's 2 big wins. It's Michigan and I can't remember the other one.
They beat VCU at VCU.
There's another one, bro. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was just VCU.
Going back to Sheppard Connect, who would y'all rather have for the Pelicans?
Sheppard.
Yeah.
Like that. That's not even a question in my opinion. Like the way that Reed Sheppard plays both ends of the floor, he plays with intensity. He's a sniper. He's shooting 52% from 3 on over like 120, 130 attempts on the season. Like he's an absolute certified bucket, and he plays both ends of the floor. He's your prototypical 2024 NBA player. And the fact that he's doing it and he looks like he's 6 years old is crazy to me. Like he does not look like a hooper, yet he's out here balling. Like this is a guy, his dad's a Kentucky legacy, and he was always going to be going to Kentucky. But the jump that he took from his senior year of high school to now is insane to me. So it just makes me think that the way that he could pan out long term, oh my God, dude, like whoever gets their hands on Reed Sheppard, I'm really excited about because it's all going to be situational with him. If he's put in a good situation, he's going to ball. If he gets put in poverty, like the Trailblazers or something, like he's going to suck because any player that goes there is going to be terrible. But yeah, to answer that question, Mike, Reed Sheppard, no hesitation.
He does remind me a little. I'm not saying he's going to be Devin Booker, but he does remind me a little bit of Booker, the way he carries himself, the way he shoots.
I don't think he starts either. Like I'm pretty sure he comes off the bench. So like
Yeah.
I completely hear that comparison.
I really like Dillingham too.
Oh
I
my
would,
god.
I would love for the Pelicans to get Dillingham to have a kind of a lead point guard. I mean, he's only going to get better too. He's a little slight, but he can put on some weight. That's not a big deal. So, yeah, just
He's so shifty, dude. Like
yeah,
he
can
is
move.
so shifty with the ball in his hands, and he's such an elite level finisher. Watching it, there was one finish that he had against LSU that was like all over like Bleacher Report and all over your like national news. Dude, he had like 2 or 3 points at halftime and then just took over in the second half. So yeah, I'd love to get my hands on either one of those players because they're like a ball of clay. Like however you want to mold them is the type of player that they're going to be. So whoever gets either one of those guys is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to just the draft, and I'm a draft guy, so NFL draft, NBA draft, you name it. Looking forward to it. So, anything else you guys want to talk about? Huh?
I was like,
Nerd?
just kidding.
Dude, I love it.
Nerd too.
Just anyone who's a fan of college sports and pro sports, and you have teams that intertwine, so you're always a fan of it. Yeah.
All right, guys. Anything else? I think that was a great pod.
That's it for me. That was solid.
Yeah, I'm good.
Good to chalk it up. All right, like and subscribe right now. I want you to stop what you're doing. I want you to go to the 504 page, like that bitch, and send it to your mama. Send it to your mama.
Or
Let
else.
your mama watch. Tell your mama the boys are back.
All
Thank
right.
you guys.
We'll end it on that.
March.